Hello guys, very good evening to all of you. So guys, we started with our revision series in the last class and we touched upon the chapter of financial statement. And in that chapter guys, we have completely understood, or rather I would say completely had a recap of the balance sheet. And I know that we are yet to touch upon the P&L, the statement of P&L, which I would be taking when I do the ratios. So today we'll be beginning with ratios, accounting ratios revision. And when I come to the profitability ratio and the activity ratio, I'll touch base the statement of P&L concept, right? So please don't think that we have skipped out the statement of P&L. It is equally important. So I'll be doing it because I thought of instead of doing it twice, once in the financial statement and again doing a recap in the accounting ratios, I thought I'll merge it together and take it in one shot. So guys, let's go ahead with accounting ratios. Okay, so it says that ratio is an arithmetical expression or a relationship between two interdependent or related items. So ratios is nothing but guys, it's a mathematical relation. We are trying to identify the mathematical relationship between two interdependent or related ratios. There are certain ratios which we have to relate with each other and study so that things will start making, things will start, giving more sense to it. Ratios when calculated on the basis of accounting information are called accounting ratios. Accounting ratio may be expressed in an arithmetical relationship between two accounting variables. Very simple, guys. Now this ratio, guys, who is using these ratios? All the bankers, all the investors who are interested in investing in any company, they would be interested or looking up to the ratios. Why? Because a genuine investor, he would not just look at the profitability of a company and invest in the business. We saw an example when we did our regular classes. We saw an example where the banker is more interested looking into the operating profit rather than looking into net profit. So we saw a scenario there. So that was one sufficient example to make you all understand the importance of the ratio. Just because the profitability of the company or the statement of profit of a company is positive, it is profitable, you cannot invest in that company. There are so many other things you have to look into and compare with each other to see if the money what you're going to invest in that company on the long run, is it safe or not. Maybe today the company is profitable, looking at the profit you're investing, and maybe the other ratios has indicated that, look my dear friend, this company is getting into trouble in next couple of years. So that warning you could not see because you did not know how to calculate the ratios. You did not know how to interpret the ratios. Therefore, you could be in deep shit and trouble. So this ratio exactly, guys, if I have to relate this to, all of you know this in medical term, there's something called as BP, blood pressure. And what is the normal blood pressure range? 80-120. If the blood pressure goes below 80, they call it as low BP. And if it goes above 120, they call it as high BP. Right? And all of you know that in the blood test also, there are various, counting that has been done. RBC counting, WBC counting, platelet counting. If all of that, for all of them, there are defined ratios. If your cells are falling, the counts are falling within that ratio, then you're fine. If it is not falling within that range, then accordingly medicines are prescribed. Accordingly, you need to take the medical treatments. So in same way, guys, here also, looking at this ratio, you can identify how healthy is the financials of the company. Profitability alone does not, makes the company, very sound. There's so many other ratios that has to be studied, very consciously so that you don't land your investments into trouble, right? So this is accounting ratios, guys. Accounting ratios can be expressed in 4 forms. One is pure ratio form, like 2:1, 3:1. It's called as pure ratio form. Then again, it can be expressed in percentage. And then times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and fractions. Fraction is 3/4, 2/4, right? So these are the 4 forms you need to remember because there are certain ratio which has to be exclusively expressed in certain forms. The current ratio has to be expressed in pure ratios. Profitability ratio is expressed in percentage. So you have to express in that percentage. So these expressions is very important for you to keep in memory. Now, guys, let's go forward. In this entire accounting ratios, guys, you'll be studying the major broad 4 categories of ratios. The first ratio being the liquidity ratio, which is also called as short-term solvency ratio. Second ratio, guys, second category of ratio is solvency ratio, which is called as long-term solvency ratio. Then we have activity or turnover ratio. Activity ratio, turnover ratio. Another name for activity and turnover ratio. Performance ratio. Performance ratio. And then we have finally the fourth one, the profitability ratios, right? So let's quickly run through the first ratio, guys, liquidity ratio. Now, guys, in the regular classes, we have done all the questions from the TS Global book completely, correct? So here now, guys, this is a revision. So I'll be touching upon all the formulas and I'll be doing 1 or 2 questions here and there under each ratios so that we can quickly have a recap. So in the liquidity,
Okay, sir.
guys, sorry, somebody called me.
Okay. No, sir.
Guys, now in the liquidity ratio, we broadly deal with 2 subcategories of ratios, which one is called as current ratio and other one is called as quick ratio. Can somebody please tell me the formula for current ratio?
Current asset by current
Current
liability.
assets by current liability.
Current asset by current liability. Can you tell me what all will include in current asset? Example, names. Names. Cash
Inventories.
plus bank. Anything which is equivalent to cash and cash equivalent, like cash and cash equivalents. Then
Inventories.
inventory, excluding loose
Tools.
Then if inventory has to be excluded from loose tools, then why is loose tools included in inventory? Because of accounting standard 2, which speaks about valuation of inventory, has said that loose tools has to be included in inventory. Now, why that is being said, that is something you learn with me in the CA foundation. Now, because of that standard, they told that loose tools has to be included in inventory. But technically, guys, loose tools is not inventory. What is loose tools? Spanners. Then what it is? All the tools that is used for manufacturing on day-to-day basis. So they're not inventory. You're not going to sell those loose tools. So we have to exclude from inventory. So inventory will include loose tools because of accounting standard 2, which you have to exclude it, especially for the calculation of the ratios. Then trade receivable means debtors and bills receivable.
Short-term advances.
Short-term investments.
Short-term investments. Very good.
Prepaid expenses.
Prepaid expenses.
Other current assets.
Other current assets and so on. Correct? Now, can you quickly tell me what are the broad categories of current assets we studied in the financial statements? Can you tell me the broad categories of current assets?
Short-term borrowings.
Short-term borrowing in the order, same order. Short-term
Current investments.
assets only. No? Oh, sorry. Hey, assets. Sorry, it's not short-term borrowing. Current assets. How can short-term borrowing come in current?
Current investments, sir.
Okay, trade receivables. What is the first one? Cash and cash equivalents. Trade receivables. Guys, we revised it last class. My God.
So in the order, the first one is current investments.
Yeah, current investment.
Inventories.
Inventories. Trade receivables.
Then
Cash and cash equivalents.
Then
Short-term loans and advances.
okay.
Then other current assets.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Current liability. Broad categories of current liability. Short-term borrowing.
Trade payables.
Short-term provision. Trade payables.
Other current liabilities.
Other current liabilities. Correct. We
Yes,
manage
sir.
with current liability. Okay. So current asset divided by current liability. And what is the ideal ratio?
2:1.
Ideal ratio is 2:1, which means your current asset should be twice of current liability. Which means what? Any business, guys, you should always have your current asset. Current asset is used to pay your current liabilities. So you should minimum have two rupees in hand to pay your 1 rupee. Current liabilities amount what you're going to pay in next 1 year or within next one operating cycle period. So at least in your pocket there should be 2 rupees. Anything less than 2:1 will become dangerous. So this is current ratio, guys. All of you clear with this? And the next formula is quick ratio. Can someone tell me the formula for quick ratio?
Because
Quick
it's the
assets by
current
current
liabilities.
liabilities.
Liquid asset divided by current liability. And what is the formula for liquid asset?
Current asset minus
Current asset
inventory.
minus
Minus
inventory
prepaid
minus
expenses.
Minus inventory minus prepaid expenses. Any specific reason why inventory is excluded from current asset here?
not the cash as
Compared to
PSDRS.
your trade receivables, compared to your current investment, and compared to all the other current assets, converting inventory is not that easy. Because for you to convert the inventory, you need to find a proper buyer to whom you can sell it. So compared to other assets, inventory is less liquid. It is less liquid. So that is why we exclude it. Second, why do we minus prepaid expenses? Current asset means what? Something you own it or something you receive back in future. Prepaid expenses means the amount which you have paid in advance. It is an expense paid in advance. Do you think the probability of expense coming back to you is very high? No. The
No.
probability of coming the expenses coming back to you is very, very less. For example, once you pay the insurance premium, that company is not going to repay the money back. So the probability of reversing the prepaid expenses is very less. So this current asset is actually, so this prepaid expenses included in current asset. And this is not going to help me paying the current liability. So there's no logic having prepaid expenses in current asset. So from current asset, I remove two things which are less liquid. Your quick ratio is also called as liquid ratio and acid test ratio. Which means what?
Asset
How
test
much
ratio.
liquid of all the current asset what you have, what is the most liquidest asset? Liquidest means what? Something which can be converted into cash very, very fast. So compared to those assets, other assets, your inventory and prepaid expenses, inventory conversion is very,
Sir,
yes, boss.
so in this we won't minus advances. In this, from current assets we won't minus advances for liquid asset.
Advances, prepaid expenses we minus, no?
Okay. So there's no need to minus advances as separate.
Loans and advances.
Uh,
No, loans
Like
and advances you don't have to minus.
okay.
You have to minus only inventory and prepaid expenses. There's a difference between loans and advances and prepaid expenses. Advance is something I give to that person and I can get it back. But prepaid expenses, it's like towards the expense. You paid the money in advance to insurance company. It's towards your expense. It's not going to come back again. So there's a thin line of difference between prepaid expenses. Paying amount in advance for expense is different from paying the money as advance, as loans and advance is different. Both are different concepts. I hope that we are clear now.
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. The ideal ratio for liquid ratios, guys, 1:1.
1:1.
At least you should have 1 rupee in your pocket to pay your 1 rupee liability. This is the standard ratio. Are you all clear with this? Please take a highlighter and highlight this point, guys, which is on your page number 4.6. Loose tools and spare parts are excluded from current assets, especially from inventory, because they are not held for sale for conversion for cash. Loose tools are excluded. They are told here very generally current asset. To be more specific, it is excluded from your inventory. You'll understand this point when we do the questions forward. And guys, all of you have this reasons and assertions, correct? In your exams. The objective of calculating the current ratios to assess the ability of the enterprise to meet its short-term financial application, that is current liability. This can be given as an assertion, and they can give you something as reason. So if you ignore any theory, guys, your reasons and assertions can go for a toss. You cannot ignore any theory, and more importantly, if you're intending to by heart any formula, even that will not serve purpose. You need to understand all the ratios conceptually, because when it's a question about reasons and assertions, it is conceptually tested. There is no practical questions coming in reasons and assertions. All of you have by now experience. So from now, at least, guys, if you're not clear with concepts, get clarity on the concepts, because that is the only thing which is going to help you even in the direct theory questions and in the practical problems. So in the regular classes, we have understood in detail. So I don't think you should have any problem. But still, if you have any issues, I would want you to make a note of all the doubts so that I can keep on clarifying it. Guys, there's so many illustrations in the current ratio. Like, which one do you think you want me to do? Can I do the first one very quickly? From the following information, compute the current ratio. Current ratio is current asset divided by current liability. In that, quickly tell me, guys, in all this, which is my current asset? This is my current asset. Current asset.
Current asset. Current assets.
Current asset. Short-term investments. Current asset. Machinery. Non-current asset. So I'll not take this into consideration. Bills payable,
Current liability.
integrator, current liability. Debentures. Now, if the debentures they have not specified, always it will be non-current. Now, this point what I mentioned, right? This is assumption, correct? All of you should have made a note of all the assumptions in all the chapters. There are so many places in so many chapters, guys, we have made multiple assumptions. And I give you the logic behind those assumptions. So if you're not having all these assumptions, handwritten with you, how will you recap during the exam? Now just imagine this illustration one. You will look at it during the exam and you will feel like, okay, this I know and ignore it. But here the point to be concentrated is debenture. Now debenture, they have not mentioned whether it is long term or short term. So in question exam, you'll have doubt. Should I take non-current or current? So it is very important, guys. You have to have handwritten notes everywhere. You should have a proper notes for all the chapter. That is more important. All those people who have still not yet started preparing that, please, anyways, you'll be doing the full revision now, like complete 100%. So by the time you start making the notes, or if you feel that you've missed out few points, you can always check with your friends who have prepared the notes properly. You can take their help and cross check with them if you have covered up all the points, right? Okay. Inventories, guys. Current asset, expense payable. Payable, it's outstanding expenses, other current assets, other current liability. So it is your current liability. Now that you know all the current assets and that you know the current liability, you have to total up current assets, you have to total up current liability and divide it. And you will divide, guys, till the denominator, till it becomes 1, you will divide. Till the denominator becomes 1, you will keep on dividing. So when you do that, there's a probability of the first part, the numerator one, even it can go in points. It's okay. Correct? All of you understood this point? So I'm not doing this sum. I'm trying to, just give you an outline about the sums. I hope you'll be able to manage, right? Now, sometimes what happens is that they'll not give you current assets and current liability directly. They'll give you working capital. And using working capital, you may either have to find out current asset or current liability. You know what is working capital? Current asset of the business is 100. There's 100 rupees in your pocket. And you have to pay 80 rupees out of it. So what is the difference? 20 rupees. Balance 20 rupees is the capital that is left for you to run your day-to-day operations of the business. That is working capital. Now in this question, what they have done is they have not given current asset. They are asking you to find out the current asset, but they've given working capital. Working capital given is 20. And your current liability is 80. So what will you do? You take working capital to the other side. So plus working capital, when it goes to the other side becomes, no, you'll not take the working capital. Instead, you'll take the current liability to the side because you want current asset to be in positive. So when you take minus current liability to the other side, becomes plus current liability. Yeah. So they may give you working capital and current liabilities, and they may ask you to find out current assets, or they will give you current asset and working capital. You may have to take the difference and find out current liability. So let's do one question based on illustration 3, the same concept. It says that current asset is 4 lakh, inventory 2 lakh, working capital 240. Calculate the current ratio. Current ratio formula is current asset divided by current liability. Current asset 4 lakh rupees they have given. Have they given current liability anywhere? No. So can I say from this working capital, that is working capital is equal to current asset minus current liability. Working capital is 4 lakh. Working capital is 2.4 lakhs. Working capital is 2.4 lakh. Current asset is 4 lakh, and this is X. I want X to be in positive. Take this to the other side and take this to this side. So it will be X is equal to 4 lakh minus 2.4 lakh, which is 1.6 lakh. So you got your current liability. Any difficulty? Guys, in TS Global book, we saw that each and every question is different from one another. So definitely it's not possible for me to cover up all the questions like we did in the revision class. So I'm trying to, cover different type of questions so that your concepts are revamped. So are you clear with this so far? Anybody's got any difficulty? Illustration number 4. Current asset is given 525. Inventory is given 2 lakh. Includes loose tools of 75,000 rupees. And the working capital is 225. So what is the formula for current ratio? Current asset divided by current liability. Current asset is given. So what will you do? From current asset, if I minus working capital, 225, I'll get 3 lakh rupees current liability. So current asset is 525. Current asset includes inventory. Current asset includes inventory, and inventory is including loose tools. So we clearly agreed that when we calculate the current ratio from the current asset, I have to exclude in this thing, loose tools. So what will you do? From the 525, you will minus 2 lakh or will you minus 75? You will minus 75,000 because your current asset includes inventory and your inventory includes loose tools. I don't have problem with inventory because I'm doing current ratio. I'm not doing liquid ratio. I'm doing current ratio. In current ratio, I will take into consideration the inventory, but I should not take into consideration loose tools. So out of 2 lakh rupees, 75,000 is loose tools. Balance what is 1,25,000 is actual inventory. Your closing stock of your work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, WIP, raw materials. All these stocks are 125. The 75,000 is not my asset, which will help to pay my current liability. So this is one tricky point. So I hope you have marked this here. In your illustration 4, the exclusion of loose tools from the current asset is the point. Anybody's having any problem in illustration 4? Comfortable? Online students, please confirm.
Comfortable, sir.
Okay. Illustration 5, I said fine, not a problem. And this is one kind of a question where they give you the current ratio. So you have to do a reverse calculation, reverse working, where they give you current ratio, working capital 60,000, calculate the amount of current asset and current liability. So how do you do this? Current ratio is equal to current asset divided by current liability. Current ratio they've given it is 2.5. So can I say it is 2.5 by 1? Current asset, guys. Current asset and current liability both you have to find out. They have given working capital. So how will we do this? How will you solve this? Current asset divided by current liability. So your current asset is equal to 2.5 times of current liability. Cross multiply. So 2.5 CL is equal to current asset. So current asset is equal to 2.5 CL. Okay, this is the equation number 1. Working capital is equal to current asset minus current liability. And working capital, what they've given us, 60,000. And current asset, guys, we have found out that current asset is 2.5 CL. So current asset is 2.5 times of current liability minus current liability, which will become 1.5 CL. So CL is equal to 60,000 divided by 1.5, which is how much?
40,000.
40,000. So now you got current liability, guys.
Yes,
Your current asset is what? Your current asset is 2.5 CL. So 2.5 into 40,000 is your current asset, which is
1 lakh.
So this is one more type of question. Are you able to see the varieties of question? In one question, they have given the current asset, current liability. Then they missed out current asset. In some question, they missed out current liability. In some question, both current asset, current liability is missed. So all these are the varieties, guys. You have to go through, and there are certain questions in this which will be easy. If you're able to do it now, the same question in exam, you'll do it with the same confidence. So you don't have to remember all this. The questions which are struggling now in revision period, that you need to mark it specifically so that you can do a recap in between and again during exam. Right? So this is illustration 8. Then we have one more kind of question where they'll give you ratio and there'll be an increase and decrease. They'll be asking to find out whether the change, whether it is increase trend or decrease in trend. So let's do one kind of question that also. Like illustration 15, guys. This is one more variety of question. Current ratio of the company is 2:1. State giving reasons which of the following would improve, reduce, or not change the ratio. Which means what the ratio is given. After identifying this ratio 2:1, there is a change in the transaction, and the transaction is repayment of current liability. What is the journal entry for the repayment of current liability? I'm repaying the current liability. If I repay the liability, what is journal entry?
Current liability debit, sir.
Current liability account debit or liability account debit. It could be credit or anything. I don't know what nature it is, so I'm writing current liability. Current liability to cash or bank. What is the amount? They have not given the amount. So what amount will you assume? I told you that this 2:1, we have to split this. Current ratio is nothing but 2:1. So current asset is 2, current liability is 1. So current asset, current liability, 20,000, 10,000. 2:1. You can assume 2 lakh, 1 lakh, whatever you're comfortable. Now, since amount is not given, you can assume it. Let's suppose I'm assuming 5,000 rupees. I made the payment of 5,000 rupees. So what happens, guys? Now, current liability is it affecting my current asset or current liability? Current liability. Is it increasing my current liability or decreasing my current liability? It will decrease. This transaction is got the impact of reducing your current liability. So 10,000 rupees your existing current account current liability balance. From that, if I minus 5,000, what will be the balance current liability? 5,000. And then guys, this 5,000 rupees cash in bank is going to impact your current asset. Is it going to increase my current asset or decrease my current asset? Decrease by 5,000. So if I minus, how much will you get balance? 15,000. So your new current ratio is equal to 15,000 divided by 5,000. 3:1. So now observe this very carefully. The old ratio is 2:1 versus the new ratio 3:1. Correct? This is old and this is new. Now compare the old with the new one and tell me, has the ratio increased or decreased? Now remember this, guys, I gave you one chart. This is the front portion. Okay, compared to old, if the front portion increases, then what will be the impact on ratio? 2:1 and 3:1. The front portion, if you see, from 2 it has become 3. So the front portion from 2 it has become 3, which is what will be the overall impact on the ratio? Increase. If the front portion, now let's suppose I'm giving an example, 2:1 versus 3:1. Now next is, let's suppose 2:1 versus 1.5:1. The front, if you see, this is old versus new. If you see, the front portion is decreased. If the front portion decreases, what is the overall impact on the ratio? Decrease. Are you able to follow? Now the back portion. And what is the impact on the overall ratio? Sorry about the handwriting. I'll try to improve. Now the old ratio was 2:1 and the new ratio has become 2:0.90. So if you see, the behind part is reduced from 1 to it has become 0.9. So your back portion has decreased. So what will be the overall impact on the ratios? Increase. It will be opposite. It will be opposite to that. So if the behind ratio, the denominator part, if it decreases, the overall ratio, it means implies that it increases. You can keep a note of this. You have to by heart this table. Now 2:1 versus 2:1.5. The back portion has increased. If the back portion increases, the impact on the overall ratio will decrease. Comfortable, all of you? Anybody's got any doubts? Online students, please confirm.
No doubt, sir.
Overall impact on ratios. Overall impact on ratios. Can I move forward? Or do you want me to do one more question of this type? Enough? Okay. Guys, can I go forward?
Yes, sir.
We have worked out all these questions in detail in regular class. So I hope you don't have any doubts. Now let's do one or two questions from the next ratio, which is liquidity ratio, quick ratio, or acid test ratio. It is expressed in the pure ratio form 1:1. And the 1:1 is the standard ratio. So you have to highlight all this, guys. Inventories and prepaid expenses are excluded from your liquid asset. That is, from your current assets, you will exclude these two. I've explained the logic also. And guys, this concept, this ratio, what it means, that you have to understand it theoretically for assertions and reasoning purposes. Guys, objective and significance also you need to remember for all the ratios. We have studied that in the regular class, so I'm not repeating here one more time. This is again important from the point of view of assertions and reasoning. Illustration 24. This is a new question that was inserted this year. So I thought I'll just redo this question one more time. Current liability is 1,50,000. Current asset is 280. Inventory 40,000. Advance tax 30,000. Prepaid rent 10,000. Calculate the quick ratio. Can somebody tell me the formula for quick ratio? Quick asset divided by current liability. And the formula for quick asset is current asset minus prepaid expenses minus inventory divided by current liability. Your current asset is how much? 2,80,000. Minus, from this I'll minus two things. Inventory 40,000 and prepaid expense rent 10,000. And what is this advance tax? Should be minus or not minus? What is advance tax? The tax that is paid in advance.
We should minus it, sir.
You have to minus it. Why do you have to minus it? Is it
Sir,
a prepaid
because-
expenses or is it an inventory?
So in this case, like same as prepaid expenses, there is no chance of getting it back.
Correct. So advance tax, you don't have the chances to get it back. The logic is very simple. Current asset means what? Something you get in future. Something you can convert the current asset into cash, and this cash is going to help you to pay the current liability. Once you pay this tax to government, is there any probability of getting this money back from government? Very rare chance. You can get it. As a refund, you can get it. But why are you paying advance tax? You feel that your income is going to be higher compared to last year. So you're telling government, take advance tax. So in 99% of the case, the tax what you pay in advance, it doesn't come as a refund. And it so happened that at the end of the year, you have to further pay tax. It is very, very rare case where you pay the advance tax. You estimated that your income will be 1 crore and on that you pay 10%, which is 10 lakh. And by chance you had COVID and because of that your business got affected and your total business was only 50 lakh. And the tax worked out to be 5 lakh. So in the very rare case, this 5 lakh refund comes back. But this is not in a syllabus. So as long as your level is concerned, advance tax, you have to presume that once it is paid, it is never going to come back. So this has to go to your concept notes. In the concept note, you have to make a note of this point that advance tax once paid, it is not going to come back in future. Therefore, this does not has the status of liquid assets. It does not have the status of being called as liquid asset. So therefore, you need to minus this 30,000 rupees as well. This question is introduced in this book for the first time. This was not there last year. And current liability, guys, current liability is already given 1,50,000. So what will be answer? 280 minus 40. 240 minus 10 is
1.33.
2 lakh, correct?
Yes,
2
sir.
lakh divided by 1,50,000. 1.33
1.33.
is to 1. Correct? Now tell me, this is the old ratio. Let's suppose a new ratio because of some transaction. Now this becomes 1.5 is to 1. So overall ratio increase or decrease? Overall ratio increase. Let's suppose it is 1.33 is to 0.9. Overall ratio is what? This is old ratio. This is new ratio. Overall ratio. The behind part, if it decreases, the overall ratio will also increase. So the tabular column, what I give you, that's a must one. Just one question of this kind. Illustration 28. Current ratio is 4:1. Liquid ratio is 3:1. Inventory is 3 lakh. Find out the current liability, current asset, and quick asset. So what happens, guys? I told you always, whenever these kind of information is given in your rough paper, put down the information. Current ratio is 4.5:1. Current ratio is 4.5:1. It's equal to current asset divided by current liability. And liquid ratio is 3:1. So liquid ratio is 3:1 is equal to quick asset divided by current liability. And they're giving you inventory 3 lakh rupees. Inventory is 3 lakh rupees. So what do I do? Can I do this? Cross multiply this and say current liability into 4.5 is equal to current asset. So current asset is equal to 4.5 times of current liability. Then what will you do? Cross multiply this also. 3CL is equal to quick asset. This is one equation you're getting. Then what will you do? Quick asset is current asset minus inventory minus prepaid expenses. In this question, prepaid expenses is missing, which is 0. Current asset formula is 4.5 CL. Quick asset is equal to 3CL.
3CL.
Minus inventory is how much?
80,000.
3 lakhs.
3 lakhs.
Correct? Now take this 3 to other side and 3 CL this side. So 3 lakh is equal to 4.5 CL minus 3 CL, which is 1.5 CL. CL current liability is equal to 3 lakh divided by 1.5, which is 2 lakh rupees. So your current liability is 2 lakh. What is your current asset? It is 4.5 times of CL. So current asset is 4.5 into 2 lakh, which is 9 lakh. So current asset, current liability is the requirement. What is the formula for quick asset? 3 CL. 3 times of current liability is quick asset. Quick asset is equal to 3 into 2 lakh, which is 6 lakh. Easy. Mathematics. Anybody is finding difficult to do this? Sanchana, Aditya, Afra, Dharnesh, Chintana, Garv, Chandru, Danya, Kirtana, Kritik, Mayan, Nikhil, Priyansh, Jay Siva, Rakshita, Sibi. Guys, are you able to follow? Not follow.
Able to follow.
Right, sir.
Sajid, Sanjay, Selva Brinda, Shambhavi, Smriti, Snehal. If anybody is not following this, go for the regular classes, guys. In that, all the questions has been worked out in detail. And those who have watched the regular classes but not watched it properly, please watch the class one more time, if time permits.
Sir, is the regular class available on YouTube?
Regular class is not available in YouTube. अगर regular class YouTube में available रहता तो academy को ताला देके मेरे को जाना पड़ता. Very smart, huh? Sir, regular class is available in YouTube. क्यों भाई? क्यों?
No, you were saying no, like go and watch it. So I asked like, is it available there?
अरे मतलब जो existing लोग हैं उनके पास recorded का encrypted recorded videos है. उनको अगर कोई
Okay.
doubt है तो I told you can watch there also.
Okay.
Like that. Now guys, purchase of inventory for cash. I'll do one question of this method and then we'll go forward to the next ratio. Guys, the quick ratio is 1.7:1. Quick asset, current liability. Quick asset is 1.7. So can I put as 1,70,000 or 17,000 also can keep. And 1.7:1 will become, this will become 10,000. I'm just multiplying 10,000 on both the sides. Okay. This is the existing ratio, guys. This is the current ratio. After this ratio, there is a change in transaction. And it says that purchase of inventory for cash. Purchase of inventory for cash. Can you tell me the journal entry for this? Purchase account debit to cash. Let's suppose it is 2,000 rupees. And this goods what you've purchased, have you sold it anywhere in the question? Have they mentioned it is being sold? No, which means it is there in your stock. So what is the closing stock entry? You have to pass closing stock entry, no? What is the closing stock entry? Closing stock account debit to trading account. Where does closing stock comes in your trading account? Credit side, no? So buy closing stock. So closing stock to trading account. 2,000. Now this purchase of 2,000 rupees will increase my I'm asking. Purchase is going to affect which part? Current asset. Purchase will have, okay. Now I've, okay. When I taught you in regular class, I did not tell closing stock. No, we combined purchase and this thing together. We understood that purchase and stock are together. See, we'll do that way also, not a problem. So it will increase the inventory. Purchase, this is actually expenses, which is not having any impact. Actually, this closing, this trading account 20,000 is there. No, this will increase the inventory. So inventory increase, is it going to affect my quick asset or the simplicity purpose? Let's do the thing what we learned in the normal class so that let's not confuse. So I told you this will affect two parts. This will affect your capital account and this is going to affect your stock. Expenses will decrease my capital and it is going to increase my stock. Correct? So this capital, is it affecting my quick asset or current liability? No. Stock is going to affect my inventory. Inventory has got no impact on quick asset and current liability. Because in quick asset, we eliminate inventory. So whatever change in inventory, quick asset is not bothered, boss. And cash is a part of current asset. So cash is going down. So your current asset is going down. If current asset goes down, can I say your quick asset will also go down? So minus 2,000 here. So now your quick asset has become 15,000 and no change in the current liability. Your current liability is going to be same 10,000. So can I say it is going to be 1.5:1? Old ratio is 1.7:1. New is 1.5. So overall ratios, only the front part is changing, reducing. So overall reduce. Therefore, the quick ratio will reduce. Comfortable, all of you? Online students, comfortable, not comfortable? Whenever this kind of question comes, guys, always do this. Do the journal entry. See the impact of the journal entry, whether it is falling on the given ratios, whether it is increasing the ratio or whether it is decreasing the ratio. And from that, you calculate the new ratio, compare what is the overall impact. Comfortable? Then we is blank, like, so comfortable. Comfortable? Okay. Only students, Satamilla,
Comfortable, sir.
Understood, sir.
Comfortable.
everybody, guys, motivation is lagging. Where are you all? Hello, please answer.
Understood, sir.
Comfortable, sir.
Neville, no response. Miti, no response. Selva Brinda, Sajid.
Comfortable, sir.
I hope all of you are really comfortable. Okay. Now, guys, we're done with the which ratio? We're done with which ratio, correct? Liquidity ratio. Okay. Next is, guys, okay, liquid ratio is also called as short-term solvency ratio.
Short-term solvency ratio.
Short-term, that is current assets. Current assets is short-term assets. Whether the short-term asset, current asset is sufficiently available to pay the short-term liability. So we saw the short-term, we evaluated the short-term relationship. Now we have to evaluate the long-term relationship. We are going to do the long-term solvency ratio. Now here in this category, we have 4 ratios, guys. The first one is debt to equity ratio, total asset to debt ratio, proprietary ratio, and interest coverage ratio. Tell me the formula for debt equity ratio, please.
Total debt divided by equity.
Yes, that's right. Total debt, somebody said, huh? Okay, debt equity ratio.
Debt.
Debt equity ratio, the formula is total debt. Who said debt total debt?
Sir, I meant debt. Debt
Right, total debt का मतलब अलग हो जाता है.
That's what I got. I told wrong. Total.
It means
It
even
was
short term. This is debt. Debt means
Only
not total debt. These are long term debt.
yes, sir.
Total debt is nothing but long term debt plus short term debt. So if the long term debt, if you have to find out, so from total debt, if you minus the short term debt, you will get long term debt. And they will be long term solvency ratio. So here the debt indicates always long term.
Sir, like while writing the formula in this, we can write long-term debts also and debts also.
Yeah, you are allowed to do that, but don't write total debt. The formula will totally change.
Yeah.
It is always better. Don't mention long term, short term. Just write debt. So you'll be on safer side. Debt divided by
Equity.
shareholders fund. Yeah, equity is nothing but shareholders fund.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there are various formulas for debt. Let's do that one by one. Debt is equal to, first of all, long term debt only. Long term debt, you have to just expand this further. It's nothing but long term borrowing plus long term provision. Simple. How can they complicate this? How can things be complicated? Please tell me. We are done with this. They'll give you total debt. Now they'll give you total debt or they'll give you total liability, which is, let's do total debt first. Total debt is nothing but long-term debt plus short-term debt. So if I want long-term debt, guys, so long-term debt is equal to total debt. From that, I'll minus the short-term debt. So this is one formula. This is one. This is one. Correct? Now, long-term debt, another formula. Total liability they'll give you. Total liability they'll give you. From total liability, you'll minus equity, that is shareholders funds. From there, you'll minus current liability. Now you'll be left with what? Non-current liability. So here, you will say that, sir, in non-current liability, there is deferred tax liability. There is, what is that called as? No, long-term borrowing is fine. Yeah, mainly deferred tax liability. Deferred tax liability from your syllabus is per se excluded. So from total liability, when you minus the shareholders' funds and minus the current liability, you presume that the balance non-current liability will be with these two. We'll presume that the balance will be these two. See what happens, guys. This is balance sheet, okay. Total asset is, let's suppose 10 lakh. Obviously, the total liability will be 10 lakh. Now, in this, there are 4 components. Shareholders' funds, share application money, pending allotment. Then you have non-current liability. Then you have current liability. For a second, I'm keeping this as 0. I'm keeping this as 0. Shareholders' funds is 2 lakh. Current liability is 3 lakh. So what are you left with? So from 10 lakh, total liability is 10 lakh. From that, I'll minus 2 lakh of shareholders' funds and 3 lakh of current liability. So what are you left with? 5 lakh. Now 5 lakh is non-current liability. And what are the various components of non-current liability? Long-term borrowing, deferred tax liability, other current liability, and long-term provision. So you will say that, sir, you said long-term debt is equal to long-term borrowing and long-term provision. So what if this non-current liability is including these two? Now here I don't have any information about deferred tax liability and other current liability. So I'm presuming it is 0. So when I'm presuming these both are 0, so obviously the balance 5 lakh is of long-term liability and long-term borrowing and long-term provision. No? That is the presumption with which we are working it out. Are you able to follow? Anybody who's not able to follow, please ask me. Guys, the financial statement chapter, what we worked out in the last class and what you have studied in regular class, this is going to play a significant role in your ratios chapter, as well as in term 2, we are going to do your tools of financial statement. There also, guys, will be playing with the financial statement only. So this is going to be clear, guys. You cannot ignore financial statement. We have spent around 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours on the financial statement in the regular class. Right? Next. So you're done with this formula. And this is capital employed. What is the formula for capital employed? Debt plus equity. Capital employed can be derived using 2 approaches. Liability side approach and asset side approach. Tell me, guys, yes or no? The 2 approaches we've learned. In which ratios we learned this? We studied in the profitability ratio, last return on investment. That we studied that. Capital employed is derived in 2 ways. And this is also studied in partnership. We also studied this in partnership. So liability side approach, what is the formula to calculate your capital employed? Now, when you do this, guys, if you remember the concept of accounting equation, what you studied in 11th, that will play a significant role. Your assets is equal to liability plus capital. So this formula I'll apply, just wait. So I'm using the liability side approach, which means what? In the balance sheet, they would have given me the liability side information. So in the question, they would have given me equity share capital. So I'll take that into consideration. In the question, they would have given me preference share capital. I'll take that into consideration. In the question, they would have given me reserves and surplus. I'll take that into consideration. If the reserves and surplus is positive, you'll add. And the reserves and surplus is negative, you'll minus. When does your reserves and surplus become negative, Saraswat? When does your reserves and surplus become negative? When there is a loss. So when there is a profit, you will add it. When there's a loss, you will minus it. Sometimes they'll not give you reserves and surplus. They'll give you loss or surplus in negative. Surplus in bracket they'll give you. So bracket indicates it is a loss. Guys, minus or loss is represented. So loss is represented either by minus or in brackets. So if you get surplus in bracket, it means it is loss. You have to be very careful, guys. If you don't give importance to the bracket, you will take this as profitability and your entire question will go for a wrong. And the examiner knows your psychology, and what he will do, no, for the profitability also, he'll give the same answer in the option. So what, let's suppose there's minus 4,000 rupees, and by mistake you have taken plus 4,000. And based on this, you'll get one answer. That answer is there in the option. And the moment that answer comes in the option, what will you think? I'm right. This is how they psychologically try to play with you. You have to be street smart. I'm telling you guys, more than like how much equal your concept is, how much equal is your practice and revision, that much equal is your patience to read the question, patience to interpret the question rightly. If you don't have the patience to read the question, slowly, aram se, if you're not able to process it, you are screwed, man. Reading is like dead important. So equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus. Then what? Then what? You have to minus one thing. Non-trade investments. Here we don't have the concept of goodwill. In partnership, we had goodwill, so we minus old goodwill. And minus prepaid expenses, that is deferred revenue expenditure. A fictitious asset. Not FA stands for fictitious asset, not fixed asset. You'll minus this. We studied this formula where? Not partnership. We studied in this, no, return on investment. So in return on investment, what did we do in liability side approach? Equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus minus non-trade investments. We did this. We'll do that today. Don't worry. So this is your liability side approach. Asset side approach, please. Total asset, total of the asset side, total of the asset side. From that, you'll minus non-trade investments. Minus current liability, minus non-current liability. We studied that accounting equation formula, no? Asset is equal to capital plus liability. I'm doing the formula for capital employed. I've not come to the debt part. So capital employed is debt plus equity. Okay. Sorry. No, actually, I'm only here when I'm talking about capital employed, I'm talking about pure capital. The capital employed in the context of ratios, I'm going to still discuss. Not clear. I'm trying to make things clear for you. Now understand very carefully. Capital employed is computed following either liability side approach or asset side approach. It should be noted that whatever approach you follow, the capital employed will be same. Shareholders funds plus non-current liability. Oh shit, that's what I did. Okay, got it. Guys, we are doing this capital employed in the context of ratio. So this capital employed means what did we learn? The capital that is deployed in the business. Siddhi, wait one. Now guys, understand this. There's a thin line of difference between capital employed in the context of partnership and the capital employed in the context of ratio. Capital employed here means we are trying to assess what is the amount of money that is invested in business. The amount of money that is invested in business comes from two sources. One is from the owner and one is from the borrowers. Like we borrow from people, no? So one is capital, another is debt. Capital and debt. So here we are taking both into consideration. So in this case, exclusively guys, your liability side approach formula will be equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus minus non-trade investment minus fictitious asset plus non-current liability. Rather, I would say non-current liability, I'll add it first and then I'll minus these two. Minus non-trade investments and minus fictitious asset. Fictitious assets, we didn't have any example in your textbook, so I'm ignoring fictitious asset. This is the formula to calculate the capital employed, because the capital employed in the context of ratio is both internal capital, that is internal liability, and external liability pertaining to the borrowing. So this portion is the source of fund. This portion is the source of fund from the owner, and this portion is the source of fund from the external people. So capital employed here means both debt plus equity. In the context of companies, in ratio specifically I'm talking about. In partnership, we never added borrowing. So here the formula is slightly getting tweaked. Shareholders funds is nothing but your share capital, both equity plus preference and reserves and surplus, plus your non-current liability, which is long-term borrowing and long-term provision. And here they have forgot to mention to minus the non-trade investments. But we saw a practical question where the non-trade investments were subtracted. Less interest on non-trade investment and non-trade investment also is subtracted. Look at this formula of capital employed. Share capital, equity plus preference both put together, reserves and surplus, not plus non-current liability minus non-trade investments. Are you able to follow? So this is the formula for capital employed using the liability side approach. For asset side approach, the formula will be total asset. From total asset, I need to minus the non-trade investment minus the current liability, you'll get it. I've given the logic of why do we minus this non-trade investment. What is non-trade investment? Whatever money I've raised out of capital and out of loan. The main, let's suppose I've raised 10 lakh rupees. Capital and debt put together 10 lakh, I've raised it. In that, 8 lakh I've invested for the core business activity. The purpose for which I started the business, for that I've invested. An extra 2 lakh was lying idle in my business. So I invested in the share market or I invested in the fixed deposit. So did you start this business that one fine day you invest in share market and do the earnings? No. So guys, what is the purpose of this capital employed? The capital employed in the context of ratio is to find out whatever money is invested in the business, how much return I'm getting on that. So whenever we talk about capital employed in ratios, whether it is what do you call it, long-term solvency ratio or whether it is return on investment, we want that capital which is invested in the core business activity. So here what happens is, guys, the total money what you've raised, let's suppose all that put together is 10 lakh. In that 2 lakh is invested in fixed deposit. So I'll minus it. I want to know balance 8 lakh, which is invested in the business. And what is the impact on the ratios is what we have to find out. Are you all clear with the logic? Why are we minusing the non-trade investments? Asset side approach formula clear. Total asset minus non-trade investment minus current liability, you will automatically get this 8 lakh rupees. Guys, we have done this formula in detail, exclusive in regular class. So don't give me that expression. Clear, not clear? Not blank, no? Not blank? Okay. Great. Then okay. I'll complete this one ratio and then give it. So guys, yes, capital employed is debt plus equity. So this is one more formula to calculate your capital employed, right? That's all. Then we have equity shareholders funds. Equity shareholders funds is very simple. Equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus. And then this is the formula. This is non-current asset plus working capital. So I'll do the formula here for you. Equity shareholders funds, liability side approach formula is equity share capital. Sorry, shareholders funds is equal to equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus. This is shareholders funds. Another way, this is liability side approach. Asset side approach. Total asset minus current liability minus non-current liability. I'll get shareholders funds. Total asset, how do we break up? Can I say total asset is equal to non-current asset plus current asset? I'm telling the probability in different ways how they can give the question. They might not give you total asset. They might give you current asset and non-current current asset and non-current asset. So non-current asset plus current asset. If I add these both, it will become total asset. From that, I'll minus current liability and non-current liability. This is another formula. Sometimes what they will do, they'll not give you current asset and current liability together. They'll minus this and give you working capital. So non-current asset, if your current asset minus current liability, the difference is positive, which means what? The difference between current asset and current liability says that current asset is more. Then it will be plus working capital minus non-current liability. If you take the difference between current asset and current liability, if it is negative, which means current liability is more than current asset, the working capital will be negative. So then it will be non-current asset minus working capital minus non-current liability. So these are the multiple formulas. There is no end, guys. You can go on and on and on. All you have to do is conceptually, you have to be clear in the calculation so that you can derive the formula on spot using your concept clarity. You cannot by heart the formula. Till which extent will you by heart the formula? Right? So I'll do one question, which is illustration 40. They have asked us to calculate the debt equity ratio. So it is long-term debts. Debt represents long-term debt divided by shareholders funds. Now share capital, guys, debt or equity. General reserve. Surplus. It is positive or negative? So equity, positive. Debentures, debt. Long-term provision, debt. Outstanding expenses, not debt, my dear. This is current liability. This is given to confuse you. Correct? So add all these three guys. 1 lakh plus 70 plus 3 lakh is 2 lakh. And debentures plus long-term provision. Debentures, I told you, if nothing is mentioned, always it is long-term. I gave you the logic also. What is the logic? Whenever you raise money from the market, you don't raise it for a short period. The intention is to use that money in the business, and the business will run for longer period. So with that mindset, if they don't mention whether it is long-term debenture or short-term debenture, assumption-wise, it is always long-term. So both are the long-term borrowings. So 1 lakh. I'll do one kind of question from this segment where it says that the debt equity ratio is 2:1, which means debt is twice, equity is 1. Okay, what is the normal debt equity ratio? Standard debt equity ratio? 2:1. So debt is to equity. 20,000 is to 10,000. Okay, this is the standard old ratio. This is the old ratio. Now there is a transaction that is happening after this ratio. Purchase of fixed asset by taking a long-term loan. Purchase of fixed asset by taking a long-term loan. Tell me the journal entry. Fixed asset account debit to you're taking a long-term loan. You're taking a long-term loan.
NCL.
Vendor. Siri, you tell me the entry. What is the entry? Purchase a fixed asset by taking a long-term loan. Fixed asset to vendor. Then bank account debit.
Don't pay, sir.
Long-term loan. This is a separate transaction. This is a separate transaction. Or it could happen that you have taken a loan from you approach banker. You said banker, I want to purchase a machinery for 5,000 rupees. I don't have money. You directly pay that money to whom? Vendor. So banker is paid money to vendor. In that case, what? You are not receiving money and vendor has also got the money. So fixed asset to long-term loan also is possible. So the two journal entry indicates that you first purchase the machinery on loan. You got the money and that the money you will give it to whom now? Vendor. So vendor account debit to bank. So your vendor account is anyways closed. Bank account is closed. So ultimately what is left? If you combine all the three transactions, what is left? Fixed asset to long-term loan. Or else you may say that banker, you give the money directly. So vendor has got his money, no. So why will you credit vendor in your books when you've already paid? You will credit the banker because now you have to make the payment to banker. So are you clear with the journal entry part? Guys, I'm telling you, how much ever you study, sometimes what happens is, when you keep on studying, right, the more and more you study, the more and more confusions come. Why? You know, because your mind is clear. Your mind has got to know a lot of information and that brain is now cross-applying everywhere and trying to confuse you. So unless and until you are organizing all your thoughts clearly, see, you have everything in your mind. So now Balasarvesh and Siddhi got confused. Why? Because it was not organized. They knew the answer. It was compartmentized, was not properly done. Sorry? No, yeah, you're right. But they've taken the long-term loan. By taking a long-term loan, so from whom will you take long-term loan? Bankers, no? Your interpretation is not wrong. You have ultimately done the same answer. You would have assumed this as long-term loan and impacted it. That's right. But this is the right way of thinking. So now what happens is, I'm merging all these three entries. So what am I left with? Fixed asset to long-term loan. Clear, not clear? The final journal entry is fixed asset to long-term loan. I'm combining all the three entries, what we just learned. Tell me guys, fixed asset is going to impact my non-current asset. It is going to increase my non-current asset. Increase of non-current asset has got anything to do with debt equity. Now you may say that, sir, I'm finding debt and equity using reverse working of non-current asset. No. When I talk about debt and equity, guys, what is the direct formula to calculate debt and equity? Equity is equity shareholders funds is nothing but equity share capital plus preference and plus reserves and surplus. That you will apply. The other day, Jinay had got this down. So this non-current asset increase means I'm using this non-current asset formula to calculate my equity and debt. So I need to reverse work it. Don't complicate so much. You have to keep it very fairly simple. This 5,000 is my fixed asset, which is going to increase my non-current asset. Debt is coming in non-current asset. No, equity is not non-current asset. So this is not going to impact my debt or equity. Clear? Now this 5,000 rupees is, guys, can I say a long-term loan, which is a long-term borrowing. So can I say this is going to affect your non-current liability followed by long-term borrowing? Long-term borrowing is going to increase. So can I say plus 5,000? Is this increasing my equity? Equity shareholders' money is not increasing, same 0. So if I do this, it is 25,000 is to 10,000. So it is 2.5 is to 1. The old ratio was 2 is to 1. So overall new ratio increase. I'm telling you guys, even though we have studied this in the regular class in detail, it's your duty to go through all the questions minimum twice before exams and probably work out few. If you don't do it, you might feel that I've done recently, so I remember everything. I'm telling you, if you don't revise properly, when you do this question in your test or exam, you will get all sorts of doubts which you're not supposed to get. And that is purely because of lack of revision. Now you've got the concept. Now, why this 2 revisions is important is to organize your thought process. This thought process, which is now tempted, now the thought process is knowing all the concepts now. It is getting very excited to cross mix all the concepts. So it is very important to tell your thought that, boss, don't be so much excited. Now I'm going to organize you into proper columns. For that, those 2 revisions are equally important. I'm telling you out of my own experience, guys. I've done CA. I can tell you what all can go wrong with you. I've gone all through what you're going now. So I can tell you whatever I'm telling is like 2 dot and to the point. Trust me, and I don't like. So we're done with debt equity ratio. We'll take a quick break now. It's 7:15 now. We'll take a 5 minutes break and then come back and continue with the remaining ratios. So guys, let's continue now. Guys, now that we've done with the debt equity ratio, we'll head towards the next ratio, guys. What is the next ratio? Total asset to debt ratio. Total asset to debt ratio. The formula itself says that total asset to debt. Total asset to debt. So debt here also means long-term debt. So whatever the formulas we saw for long-term debt, guys, the same formula is applicable here. And you know the formula for total assets. What is the formula for total asset? Non-current asset plus current asset. Any doubts in this? Please tell me, any doubts in this? It is expressed in the pure ratio format and the standard ratio is 1:1. What is the meaning of total asset to debt ratio? What is the meaning of asset to debt ratio? What is the meaning of asset to debt ratio? Why are we calculating this? Okay. Yes, online students, please tell me what is the significance of this ratio? Total asset to debt. What are we trying to find out? 1.5:1 is the answer. What are we trying to find out? If you don't answer this, how will you answer reasons and assertions? If the company is closing, you will convert all these assets into cash and pay these debts. So now, who is interested in this ratio? This ratio is the person who's given you a long-term loan, from whom you have borrowed long-term borrowing. No? So the lenders are interested in this ratio to find out, just in case if the company goes up in winding, how much of the asset this company can dispose of and how much of the asset is available for me. So how much of the asset is available to cover up the loan? So if 1 rupee is the loan that you've given, your asset is 1.5. So I'm relaxed that, okay, this much money is there. So if the company goes for liquidation also, I can get my amount back. That much is the asset available with the business. Are you able to follow? Guys, online students, please confirm. Are you able to follow? How much of the asset is available if the company goes up into winding? How much of the asset is available to cover up the amount of the lenders? You want me to do any questions from the debt equity ratio? Sorry, asset to debt ratio? You can tell me if you have any specific questions you want me to work it out. I'll do it. No problem. Can we do 52? 53? Yes, can I do 53? It says that the shareholders' funds is 8 lakh, total borrowing is 18 lakh, short-term borrowing is 2 lakh, other current liability 6 lakh, total asset to debt ratio is what we have to find out. So please tell me what is the formula of total asset to debt ratio? Total asset divided by debt. Debt means, can I say long term? Now guys, total asset. So what is given? Shareholders' funds is given. So what I'll do is, I'll prepare the balance sheet, okay, rough balance sheet. The shareholders' funds is how much? 8 lakh rupees. Total borrowing means what? Short term and long term, both put together is 18 lakh. Total borrowing is equal to long term borrowing plus short term borrowing. So what is my short term borrowing? 2 lakh. So 18 lakh x plus 2 lakh. So 18 minus 2 lakh, can I say long term borrowing is 16 lakh? So long term borrowing, that is non current liability, 16 lakh. And your current liability, that is short term borrowing, is 2 lakh. I'm coming. Then if I read the question further, they have given other current liability, which means in the current liability, apart from short term borrowing, we have other current liability of 6 lakh rupees. Reserves and surplus is not given, so I cannot assume anything. Or I can say that shareholder funds includes reserves and surplus. Shareholders funds is nothing but equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus. So all this put together, they've given us shareholders funds. And in non-current liability, there's nothing else apart from long-term borrowing. And in current liability, you have two things: short-term borrowing and other current liability. If you total, what will this be? 32 lakh. We have studied accounting equation. Capital plus liability is equal to asset. So this is capital plus liability. This is equal to asset. So can I say my total asset is 32 lakh? One way of finding out the total asset, the formula is non-current asset plus current asset. This is asset side approach. Liability side approach is what? Shareholders funds plus non-current liability plus current liability. So this is liability side approach. Now coming to debt. Debt, I want which debt? Long term or short term? Now people in excitement, you will take full 18 lakh rupees. Boss, this is total long term borrowing. Total borrowing. Total borrowing means long and short both put together. I am concerned only about long. So I need the balance 16 lakh. So 32 lakh divided by 16 lakh, which is 2:1. This ratio is fine. Let's suppose the lender has given 16 lakh. If the company becomes bankrupt, it goes to liquidation. If you dispose of all the assets, you will get 32 lakh. From the 32 lakh, you can pay 16 lakhs. So the lender is now happy. Now, guys, any difficulty in this? Any questions? Any other question from this ratio you want me to work out? Any other ratio from this book, guys? Any other ratios? Any other questions from this particular ratio? Can I do the next ratio? Proprietary ratio. The formula is proprietor's fund or shareholders funds or equity divided by total asset. It is expressed in either pure ratio form or it is expressed in percentage. Both are allowed. How do you calculate the owner's fund? Proprietor's fund, how do you calculate? Liability side approaches, equity share capital, preference share capital plus reserves and surplus. Asset side approach, non-current asset, same thing. Non-current asset plus current asset minus current liability minus non-current liability. Or non-current asset plus working capital minus non-current liability. Basically, shareholders funds. You know what is shareholders funds, right? Now, what is the purpose of this ratio? What are we trying to find out? Shareholders funds is 12 lakh and total asset is 16 lakh. How much of total asset? So total asset is 16 lakh.
Sir, by this we find out how much total assets are there from shareholders funds.
Correct. So basically, your liability is nothing but the source of fund, and your asset is nothing but application of fund. So your total asset is 16 lakh. Who sponsored you the 16 lakh? How much came from the owners and how much came from the lenders? So here, if you see, 16 lakh is the total asset, out of which 12 lakh is being given by the owner himself, which means what? 75%. 75% of the assets is coming through the source of fund is capital. Remaining 25% is coming from lenders. Clear? It can be either in percentage form or it can be in pure ratio. Both are acceptable. So in the options, if you see percentage, don't get confused that we learned pure ratio, then here they've asked percentage. Both are applicable. As we have discussed all this objective significance in detail, guys, I'm not again going through all these things. Any one question, guys, which you want me to do it? Any one question or two questions which you want me to do it? 58, do you want me to do it? No? $63. The increase decrease, I'll do one question from that. But apart from that, anything else you want me to do? All are easy. 61, no doubts. 61 we can do. No, all the three ratios are given here. They ask us to calculate the proprietary ratio. What is the proprietary ratio formula? Proprietary ratio is equal to proprietor's fund, which is also called as shareholders fund, divided by debt. Sorry, total asset. Okay, so shareholders funds, guys, they have given me what? Capital employed. So I have to roughly create a balance sheet. They have given total debt. They have given me current asset, working capital. So capital employed. Okay. So from current asset, if I minus 1 lakh working capital, I'll get current liability. So what is the current liability? 5 lakh minus 1 lakh, which is 4 lakh. 4 lakh is your current liability. Okay. Capital employed is 10 lakh. What is the formula for capital employed? Debt plus equity. So capital employed is 10 lakh. Debt have they given? 12 lakh. Total debt. For total debt is equal to, see, formula, pull the formula. Okay, we have to organize this very well. Once again. So guys, they have given total debt. Total debt formula is debt plus total debt. Correct. How do you write it? Total debt is how much? 12 lakh. Okay. Then they have given what? Capital employed. What is formula for capital employed? Debt plus equity. Capital employed is 10 lakhs. Now guys, how do you find now? Current asset is given? Yes. So current liability is nothing but this. Total debt is nothing but, guys, non-current liability plus current liability. Under non-current liability only you have long-term debt, and under current liability you have short-term debt. So there's no short-term debt. So your current liability is what? At the present is 4 lakh rupees. So we just found out X. So long-term debt is nothing but X is equal to 12 lakh minus 4 lakh, which is 8 lakh. So this is your long-term debt. Can I substitute this 8 lakh here and find out your equity? So first you found out current liability. You've substituted the current liability here and to find out the long-term debt. Then you substituted this long-term debt in this formula to find out your equity. So X is equal to 10 lakh minus 8 lakh, 2 lakh. So your capital is 2 lakh. Your shareholders fund is 2 lakh. Your non-current liability is 8 lakh. And your current liability is 4 lakh. Total is how much? 14 lakh. And then we have current asset 5 lakh. Current asset is 5 lakh. So what will be a non-current asset? Remaining. Okay, what I want is shareholders funds, which is 2 lakh. Divided by total asset is 14 lakh. How much it is? Sorry? 2 by 14. Simplify till 14 becomes 1. So you get point something. 0.1429. 0.1429 is to 1. If you multiply this with 100, 2 by 14. 2 lakh by 14 lakh into 100, if it will get 14.29%. Confused? Srividya, comfortable? Guys, unless and until you know the relationship between all these things, you'll find it very difficult. So current liability is nothing but current asset minus working capital. Current asset was how much we found out? 5 lakh. So 5 lakh minus 1 lakh. So first, using the current asset and working capital, guys, you need to understand what is given in the question. Using that, what else I can find out? If you don't know the relationship between each other, you will not be able to crack it. So first we found out the current liability, which was 4 lakh. Then we substituted this current liability in this formula to find out the long-term debt. And then we substituted this long-term debt in this formula to find out equity. So the relationship between each other, if you're not clear with that formula, that concept, it will be very difficult to cross-apply. Now that I've got this, guys, the next ratio, what they want me to solve is total asset to debt ratio. Total asset to debt ratio. Formula is total asset divided by debt. Total asset is 14 lakh, we found out, and debt here, long-term debt. Long-term debt is 8 lakh. Simplify and tell me the answer. 1.75 is to 1. And then we have debt to equity ratio. Debt to equity ratio. Debt by shareholders funds or equity. Debt is long term always. 8 lakh divided by 2 lakh. 4 is to 1. Your debt is 4 times of equity. But equity is 1, your debt is 4. What is the ideal ratio? 2 is to 1. So this is kind of very risky. Debt can be 2 times of equity, allowed. But too much of debt, again, it is bothersome. Okay. I hope online students are able to follow. Anybody who's not able to follow, please tell me. Guys, we've done all this in the regular class. So I hope you should not have any doubt. If you have any doubts, you have the recorded class with you. Please watch it so that you get the clarity. Guys, I'm telling you, this is very, very important. 63. 62. Okay. Calculate the proprietary ratio. If the total asset to debt ratio is 2 to 1, debt is 2 lakh. Equity share capital is 0.5 times of debt. Preference share capital is 25% of equity share capital. Net profit before tax is 4 lakh. Rate of tax is 30%. My goodness. We did this sum, no? Lovely question. What is the requirement of the question? Calculate the proprietary ratio. Proprietary ratio formula, please. Proprietary fund is also called as shareholders funds divided by total asset. They have given total asset to debt ratio and debt is 2 lakh. Equity share capital is 0.5% of debt. So now to see what all, so this is like, playing that game. Do you all see Big Boss? No?
Yes, sir.
This is like, that game, that what all is available with you. You need to survive with that and come out of that game. I don't know what game exactly that is, but yeah. So now I have to see what is on my plate. I have total asset to debt ratio. What is the formula for total asset to debt ratio? Total asset to debt ratio is 2 by 1. Total asset divided by long-term debt. Correct? Okay. Then they've given debt is 2 lakh. Debt is 2 lakh. They've not mentioned long-term or short-term. What will be your assumption? Bhavishya, are not able to concentrate from that? Concentrate? Okay. Guys, all those who are sitting at back, if you're not comfortable, you can come in front so that your concentration is retained, you don't get diverted. Debt is 2 lakh. Always long-term if nothing is given. 2 by 1. Can I say this is 2 lakh? No. Correct? 2 lakh. Then they have told share capital is 0.5 of debt, 0.5 times. So share capital, that is shareholders funds, is equal to 2 lakh into 2.5. I'm just trying to, 0.5, 0.5, which is 1 lakh. Now I can find the total asset. If I cross multiply this, total asset is equal to 2 lakh into 2, which is 4 lakh. So I can substitute 4 lakh here now. I got 4 lakhs. Now I want the shareholders' funds. How do I calculate the shareholders' funds? Oh, then what is this 1 lakh? Share capital is 0.5 times. Yeah, more specifically equity. We want shareholders' funds. Shareholders' funds means equity plus preference plus reserves. So equity, they have told it is 0.5 of debt. And preference share capital is 25% of equity shares. Now understand this very carefully. Shareholders, so this is share capital, okay? Shareholders' funds is equal to equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus. Equity share capital, we just found out this 1 lakh. Preference share capital is 25% of equity share capital, which is 1 lakh into 25% plus reserves and surplus. Net profit before tax is 4 lakh. Before tax, net profit before tax is 4 lakh. When will I call something as surplus? Surplus is nothing but your final profit after paying all the taxes. That is something which will go to your surplus. So from net profit before tax, I need to minus tax at the rate of 30%, which is 1,20,000. Balance 70%, 2,80,000 is your surplus, which goes to your notes to accounts. So reserves and surplus. Under reserves and surplus, you will not take this 4 lakh. After paying tax, the final amount which is available for you, that you will take it, 2,80,000 rupees. So 2,80,000 rupees is your reserves and surplus. So 1 lakh plus 25,000 plus 2,80,000 is how much? 4,05,000. That is your shareholders' funds. Four lakh 5,000 divided by 4 lakh. How much it is? 100? Okay, into 100. So 101.25% is the answer. Anybody is finding difficult to calculate this? Anybody wants me to repeat any point? You have to slowly read the question, understand what has been given. According to that, your equations will get developed one by one. Very challenging question, beautiful question. Mark it important. Mark it important. 63, anyone? One thing you want me to do? Or manageable? One thing I'll do? Issued equity shares to vendors for purchase of machinery, 4 lakh rupees. The proprietary ratio is 0.8:1. What is 0.8? Can I say the shareholders' funds is 0.8 and 1 is what? Total asset. Am I correct? So 0.8 is there, guys. 0.8 is there. I'll multiply this with, let's suppose, 10 lakh because the amount is 4 lakh. No, so I need to have that much multiples. So I'm multiplying with this 0.8 into 10 lakh and with this 10 lakh. What will I get? 8 lakh is to 10 lakh. Now, issue equity shares to vendors of machinery, that is machinery you purchased for 4 lakhs. Instead of giving him the cash in bank, you have given the equity. What is the journal entry? Machinery account debit to equity share capital. Vendor will knock off. No? So you write machinery to vendor, the next entry will be vendor to equity share capital. So if you knock it off, it will be machinery to equity share capital, 4 lakh rupees. Sorry? It can't be a same entry, but for ratios we can combine because the effect will nullify. Vendor will go knock. So what you are saying is machinery account debit to vendor, and then you reverse the vendor by giving equity share capital. So instead of having two journal entry and impacting the entry, it will complicate and eat away time. So I'm combining both the journal entries so that your time will save. The 4 lakh machinery will affect your total assets. So total asset will go up by 4 lakh. And equity share capital will go up by 4 lakh. So total will become 12 lakh, 14 lakh. So ratio is 12 lakh divided by 14 lakh. In the Jujube question, you had doubt in this? See. Okay, what is a simplification? Sorry? Okay, simplify 12 lakh by 14 lakh and tell me what is the answer in ratios, pure ratio format. 0.8. 0.85 is to 1 versus the old ratio is 0.8 is to 1. So back ratio, there is no change. The front ratio from 0.8 it becomes 0.85. So can I say overall ratio is increased? Oh, I got what Bala Sarvesh said. So Bala Sarvesh said that, sir, this question when we do regular class, the confusion what we had is 4 lakh is added here, 4 lakh is added here, both the said same amount is added. So the impact will be no change. Okay, so you said that vendor to okay. But one more confusion what will come here is both the side 4 lakh is increasing. So what your psychology will tell is without calculating, both the side it is increasing. No, so no change. But don't do that. Calculate till the end and compare the ratio, then decide whether this change is there or not. No change. Very important, right? Next is interest coverage ratio, guys. Interest coverage ratio. The formula is net profit before interest and tax. Before indicates what? Before minusing interest, before minusing tax. I want that net profit which is available before paying interest, before paying tax. Net profit before interest and tax. Let's suppose it is 12 lakh rupees. From that, you will first pay interest, 2 lakh rupees, plus 2 lakh. So what is this balance? 10 lakh, which is net profit after interest before tax. From this, you minus tax, let's say 30%. 3 lakh gone. You'll get balance 7 lakh. This is net profit after tax, you can say, or net profit after interest after tax. After interest after tax, 7 lakh. Now what will happen is in the question they'll give you the 7 lakh rupees, and they'll not give you this 3 lakh. They'll give you 30%. They'll give you this interest 2 lakh rupees. How will you calculate? Again, I'm repeating the question, guys. I want this. For me to do the interest coverage ratio, I need net profit which is coming before minusing interest and before minusing tax. So in the question they'll give you interest. In the question, they'll give you tax percentage and they'll give you net profit after minusing interest, after minusing tax. We have this question like that. So here, how will you calculate? They've given you tax is 30%. Always we have believed that this net profit, which is coming after minusing interest and before paying tax, it is equal to 100%. Always. On this, you apply 30%. So if you minus 30%, balance is how much? 70%. So we will apply our technique called as vegetable vendor technique, VV technique. If 7 lakh is equal to 70%, then for 100%, how much? If you cross multiply, you will get 10 lakh. Correct? Or you can say if 7 lakh is equal to 70%, then for 30%, what will be the proportionate value? You will get 3 lakh. This is called as vegetable vendor technique. All the formulas, majorities of the formulas are derived using this technique. Now that you have 10 lakh rupees, guys, what is my net profit before interest and tax? With 10 lakh, if I add 2 lakh, can I get 12 lakh rupees as net profit before interest and tax? This is the amount that I require. So what is the meaning of this? Net profit before interest and tax divided by interest on long-term debt, you'll get the answer in times. Let's do one practical question to understand this. I will do 65. From the following details obtained from the financial statement of Jeev Limited, calculate the interest coverage ratio. And the formula for the interest coverage ratio is net profit which is coming before minusing interest and before minusing tax. But they have given you net profit after tax, 1,20,000 rupees, 12% long-term debt, 20 lakh rupees. So this 20 lakh is interest or the borrowing? Interest or borrowing? This is borrowing. 12% indicates that on this borrowing, the interest rate that has been fixed is 12%. So what is the interest on long-term debt? 20 lakh into 12%, which is 2,40,000. So my numerator is done. My numerator is done. I want denominator. Sorry, my denominator is done. I want the numerator. Net profit after tax is given. One more time, listen to me very carefully. Net profit before interest, before tax is what I want. From that, first you'll minus interest in order to get net profit after interest before tax, which is short and sweetly called as net profit before tax. From this, you'll minus what? Tax in order to get net profit after interest after tax in our language, which normally we call it as net profit after tax. Now they have given you net profit after tax, 1,20,000. Okay, and the tax percentage is 40%. So we always believe that, guys. So this is amount in rupees, and this is amount in percentage. So tax is how much? Tax is equal to, in terms of percentage, it is 40%. So which means your net profit after interest before tax will always be equal to 100%. Guys, I hope you're clear with the presumption, because whatever 100 rupees is available, government says that whatever 100 rupees is available for you, from that you give me 40%. What is the meaning of 40%? 40 by 100. So whatever your 100 rupees you're earning, on that give me 40. So this is a net profit which is available from me. From that I need to give a share of it. So this is always equal to 100%. So 100 minus 40, can I say this? 60%. So 1,20,000 is equal to 60%. Then what is it for 100%? If you cross multiply, you will get the answer. 1,20,000 into 100 divided by 60. You will get 2 lakh rupees. And now you have interest already calculated, which is 2,40,000 rupees. With this 2 lakh, if I add 2,40,000 rupees, what will you get? 4,40,000 rupees. So cross check. From 4,40,000, if I minus 240, am I getting this 2 lakh? From this 2 lakh rupees, what is 40% tax? 2 lakh into 40% is how much? 80,000. So from 2 lakh, you minus 80,000, are you getting this? You can cross check once. If you're like, when you do the reverse calculation, there's a probability of making mistake. So just do the normal calculation and check whether you've done it right. Sometimes what people make mistake here is, from 2 lakh, they minus 240 to get this. So your answer will, here it will be wrong. And when you do the normal calculation, normal checking, you will not get the answer. So that itself is an indication that something you made mistake. So when you do always reverse, guys, from bottom, if you're minusing, in reverse, you will add. From top, if you're adding, when you go reverse, you will subtract. It will be opposite. This is simple. If I have to put this in equation format, net profit before interest, before tax is equal to, net profit after interest before tax is equal to net profit before interest before tax minus interest. From net profit before interest before tax, if I minus interest, I'll get net profit after interest before tax. So this is 2 lakh here. I need to find out this. Interest is 240. So when you take this interest to the other side, x is equal to 2 lakh plus 2.4 lakh, which is 4.4 lakh. So this is equation, guys. This is nothing but this is one equation. This is another equation. Comfortable? Now, guys, you got 440, you got 240. You divided it and you got 1.83 times, because your interest coverage ratio is always expressed in times. Now tell me, what is the meaning of this 1.83? 2,40,000 is the interest that the company has paid. Now who is interested in this ratio? The lenders. The lenders want to know this interest what we have to receive from the company, how much of the profit is available to pay our interest. Now lenders are saying, checking the financial statement of the company and seeing that, oh, 4,40,000 rupees money is available to pay 2,40,000 rupees. So this 4,40,000 rupees, this amount will be given to 3 people. The first amount will go to the debenture holder as interest. Then second, you will pay to the government as tax. Then finally, the shareholders, it goes as dividend. And if you don't pay entire money as dividend, the fourth portion will be surplus. So you will carry forward in your balance sheet, notes to accounts. Able to follow? So this profit which is available can pay your interest of 1.3 times. This 440 interest, which is this net profit which is available, no, this is sufficient to pay the interest not one time. Instead, it is sufficient to pay 1.83 times. That much profit we have. Are you able to follow? Now, before I go to the next ratio, guys, it is 8. Let me do a quick recap, because if we do the next question, I need at least 1 hour to 1.5 hours to complete the remaining 2 sets of ratio, which I'm planning to do in next class. So before we head forward, can we immediately do a quick revision of what we studied so far? We studied 2 ratios: liquidity ratio, solvency ratio. Liquidity ratio, which 2 formulas? Current ratio is equal to current asset divided by current liability, and is always expressed in pure ratio format, which is, and the standard ratio is 2:1. And then we studied liquid ratio. Liquid ratio, liquid asset divided by current liability, and liquid asset is equal to current asset minus inventory minus prepaid expenses. This is also expressed in the pure ratio format, and the standard is 1:1. One second. Here in current ratio, when I talk about current asset, from current asset you need to minus one thing. Loose tools. Hello, why non-trading investment? Loose tools. Loose tools, very important, guys. The reason why I'm doing this revision is so that you don't make mistakes. So from current asset, you'll minus loose tools. So the balance current asset, what you're getting, that is what you will take it in the current ratio formula. Correct? Okay. Now, what is the second ratio? Solvency ratio. What is the formula? Debt to equity ratio. So debt by equity. Debt means long-term debt by equity. It is expressed in pure ratio format. Standard ratio 2:1. Next ratio. Total asset divided by total asset to debt ratio. So total asset divided by debt. Debt means long-term debt. Expressed in the pure ratio format. We don't have any standard ratio as such. Next is proprietary ratio. That is proprietors fund or equity shareholders. That is shareholders funds. Shareholders funds divided by total asset, expressed in pure ratio format or a percentage. Then next one, interest coverage ratio is equal to net profit before interest before tax divided by interest on long-term debt. Guys, we are doing long-term solvency ratio. So here short-term debt is of no use. So interest on long-term debt, and is expressed in times. So net profit before interest before tax is equal to profit after tax plus interest. If you do, we'll get net profit before interest before tax, or the format what I gave you, you'll understand with that. Now, if you have energy left, I can quickly take up the format of the statement of P&L. It is only 8 o'clock. It's only 8:05. How lame you people are, no? My God. You're not trying to save time, you're trying to waste time. Okay, on the contrary, if I do the ratios now, this 20 minutes, I mean that statement of P&L, we'll save time in the next class. No, I'll not explain. No, once I've done, I will explain. Smart people. Okay, so guys, yes, I'm wrapping the session now. Yes, so before we wind up, so now we are left with 2 categories of ratios. We have to target completing this at least in next 1 hour, so that we can start with the next topic, which is share capital. So when are we meeting next? Sunday morning. Since you don't have test, test is 1.5 hours, class is 2 hours. You decide test or class.
Class.
So which means the example what we gave, sir, we have so-called exam on Monday, so we have to study for that. So that is not the reason, because you're coming for 2 hours of class. So that is okay. Test writing 1.5 hours is not okay. Okay, Sunday we are meeting for the regular class. So 11 to 1. Right? Super. Guys, that's all from my end for this class. I'll be seeing you all in the next class, guys. So until then, bye bye. See you. Take care.